I have a rule that I follow when it comes to the Golden State Warriors. And this rule is as long as Steph Curry is on the roster, I never ever count out the Golden State Warriors. I don't care how old he is. Have you seen the guy running up hills with weighted vests, carrying weights around, looking jacked? At Media Day looking jacked? The guy looks great. Is he on something? I don't know. Is he natty or is he not? Derek from More Plates, More Dates needs to do a Steph Curry episode. By the way, if you ever want to watch a good More Plates, More Dates episode, watch the one he did like 4 years ago on the now deleted Jimmy High Roller episode about LeBron James and his supposed steroid use and all that. Really interesting video. Anyway, is Steph on something? Is he on PEDs? Is he on HGH? Is he on TRT? Is he on HRT? Is he on peptides? Is he on EPOs? Is he blood doping? I don't know. All I know is that the guy looks fantastic. And I'm rooting for the Warriors because apparently they're old. That's what all the cool, hip Gen Z and younger millennial kids are saying. I've heard such insulting things, such as the Olden State Warriors. Very offensive. Dare I say, ageism.
I'm 30. Well, in November I'll be 30.
And I gotta be honest, I am partial to this older Warriors roster because your boy's getting up there. And look, I'm not that old. I'm younger than Al Horford, but I'm older than Steph Curry. So do the math. And like them, I try to be in shape and still play basketball. And like them, as we approach the ripe old age of 40, are desperately trying to hold on to the last gasps of youth as it slips through our hands like sand pebbles on a beach. But you know what the great 20th century psychologist Carl Jung said? I think that's how it's pronounced. I don't speak German. Carl Jung. He said, life really does begin at 40. Up until then, you are just doing research. But I really do have an appreciation for any kind of athlete that can be productive and play at a high level past the age of 35, into their late 30s, and sometimes even their early 40s. Truly mind-blowing. So you got Draymond, who's 35, going to be 36 in March. You got Jimmy. He just turned 36. You got Steph, he's 37, going to be 38 in March. And finally, you have the great Al Horford, who is 39, turning 40 in June. Also, by the way, married to former Miss Dominican Republic, so good for you, Al. So since the average age of an NBA player is somewhere around 26, 27 years old, and the previous four gentlemen that I mentioned, if you average their age out, is about a decade older than that, many would deduce that this potential starting lineup for this team is a lineup of old heads, or some would also call them a team of unks. And that is precisely why I'm cheering on the Warriors in the Western Conference. I'm very excited and interested in seeing what they do and how their season goes, because like them, I am also an old head. And you know what, you young guys watching this channel, someday you'll be an old head too. And it happens fast, let me tell you. Now, when it comes to Jimmy and Steph, these two guys are not your average 36, 37-year-olds. Have you seen what those guys look like? Have you seen the physiques on those dudes? Jimmy looks like he's sculpted out of marble. He must be like 9-10% body fat. They take extremely good care of their body, and they are extremely athletic and extremely fit. And I think I saw some headline recently, it was one of Steph's trainers said that his first step in explosiveness is as good as it's ever been. Now, the narrative this past offseason with the Warriors was, oh, they're not doing anything, they're not making any moves. But you got to remember, they did get Jimmy Butler in the last third of last season, and things went pretty damn well once Jimmy joined the team. Overall, they were 23-7 with Jimmy Butler playing, and when Steph and Jimmy played together, they were 22-5. Not bad. Now, I know there is some nuance to that. I think the nuance was, or the argument against that was, oh, it's the honeymoon phase and it's new. And I think the other argument was, well, they played a lot of bad teams, and the good teams that they played were missing key guys, and some of that might be true, but I'm sorry. 22-5 is 22-5. And in the postseason, remember, Steph got hurt game 1. He only played 13 minutes. Guess what he did in those 13 minutes? He had 13 points in 13 minutes. So if Steph was healthy that series, who knows how that series would have went. It might have been a really good series. Okay, so after I finished recording this, I went on the World Wide Web, and a whole bunch of deals went down with the Warriors. So, breaking news. It looks like the Al Horford deal is finalized, along with the Warriors acquiring DeAnthony Melton and Seth Curry, brother to Steph Curry, son of Del Curry. Pretty cool. And the whole Jonathan Kuminga stuff is done, so I think that's what they were waiting to finish up so they can make the rest of their moves to fill out the roster. And I think Al Horford could be a great addition to this team. I know everybody's, laughing at the Warriors because they're older and all that stuff, but I don't know, man. I think Al Horford, if you can get maybe 18 to 20-ish minutes or so a game from him, and with his basketball IQ and leadership and experience and his shooting and his size, pretty good passer, he could take some pressure off of Draymond. I don't know. I think it could work out pretty well. And then Seth Curry, man, I did a little research here. I did not know that Seth Curry led the league in three-point percentage last year. Guy shot 46% from three. Unbelievable. What is up with that gene pool? Those Currys, man. So you got not one, not two, but three pretty prolific three-point shooters now on the Warriors in Buddy, Steph, and Seth. And then I gotta be honest, guys, DeAnthony Melton, don't really know much about him at all. Now, Kuminga, to me, is kind of like the wild card for this team. If they could figure out how to really utilize him, because he really balances that team out when you have, a methodical Jimmy and a methodical Al Horford and a methodical Draymond, a little bit older, but then you have Steph running around like a maniac shooting, and then you get a guy like Kuminga in there who's super springy and athletic and all that stuff. They could find a nice balance between all of them. And I think that the real key to the success for the Warriors is going to be the role players, because Steph's going to be great. Jimmy, he'll be fine. Last year, I think he averaged 18, 6, and 6 on 50% shooting. And I know a lot of people don't like Draymond. I totally get it. But remember, Draymond, he got on his 9th all-defensive NBA team last year. I think he was 3rd in Defensive Player of the Year voting. So Draymond is still a very, very effective, impactful basketball player. And it's just good to have two vets on your team like that. But it's Pods, it's Horford, it's Buddy Hield for sure. For sure, Pods and Buddy Hield. Quentin Post, Moses Moody, that Gui Santos, Gary Payton Jr., when he's healthy, he's great, super athletic, good defender. And the way the West is, I don't know, man. I think if the Warriors stay healthy, I think they could maybe hover around that 5th, 6th, 7th place, because you got who? You got the Thunder, the Nuggets, the Rockets, Timberwolves. Then after that, it's who knows with the Clippers, who knows with the Lakers, who knows with the Mavs, and who knows with the Warriors. I think they could kind of be in that second tier. We'll see. So there you go, quick little Warriors video. Just wanted to talk about them. And I've always been a Jimmy Butler guy. When him and Steph play together, a big reason as to why they're 22-5 is both very high IQ, very smart basketball players, and they balance each other out so well because their games are so opposite each other. They have this real kind of yin-yang thing about them that really works. And Draymond is so smart and knows Steph so well. He connects them very well. And that's where all the role guys really come in and have to do their part too for the Warriors to have success. But I don't know, man. Once again, if Steph Curry is on that team and healthy and playing well, never sleep on the Warriors. I don't care how old he is. So rooting for my old head Warriors, the Olden State Warriors, and should be interesting to see how their season goes.